Downtown Decatur, it's the Faber Files. Hello, I'm your host, Bill Faber. Because democracy demands debate, we present this program of community interests and issues. Nowhere else on broadcast TV do we see extended conversations with candidates or leaders of our community talking about vital things about our community. Tonight's special guests are two. We have candidates for the Decatur Township Board, Lisa Stanley, who's running for supervisor, and Ada Owens, who is running for clerk, and she's already in the clerk's position, so she's running for re-election. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're here to talk about a really kind of unknown and forgotten part of government in our community, but very important part of our township.
Right.
You're a trustee, Lisa.
I am a trustee.
And what's your view of township government, and why is it important for our community?
It's important for our community because it reaches out to, I'd say, the forgotten people or the people that fall in the cracks. First of all, township is the oldest form of government. It was put in place a long time ago, even before the Declaration of Independence was signed. So that was a long time ago. And it has three basic functions. First is the general assistance that takes care of the needy, and then also property assessment, and then roads and bridges. But the most important, I feel, is the general assistance, because you have a lot of people in the community that don't qualify for services. They go without, and this is really to reach them, to serve them.
Decatur Township has over 50,000 people, I understand.
Yes, it does.
And that's who you're servicing.
Yes.
So why are you running for supervisor?
Well, a couple years ago I got appointed to the board, so I wasn't elected as a trustee. I was appointed. While I was on the board, I witnessed a lot of tension between, I wouldn't say the board members, because we work well together as a board, but people in the community, some other department heads, they're fighting amongst each other, and I never heard anything that went on that serviced anybody in the community. It was just all a personal fight with each other. My slogan is bringing township back to the people. So I'm running because I understand the needs of the community, been there where a lot of them are at, and I want to work hard for them.
Yes.
I really do.
Yes. Ada Owens, you're the township clerk, and you're running for another term.
Yes, I am.
And why do you want to seek re-election to the township government board?
Because I've been an advocate for the poorest of the poor, just the people in general, for a long time. I always put the people first. So therefore, if I can educate, I am the custodian of the records. That's my job at Township, but it reaches far more than that. Being a community activist, I can go into the community and educate about township government to spiral what Lisa says about township government closest to the people, or it should be. So therefore, we need to be close to the people. These are the people we represent. I imagine when I turn those old pages at some of those old documents, how it must have been back in the 1800s to have one goal here: take care of the people in the town. So I want to restore that.
That's right.
Taking care of our people. A vision, if you will, of folk way back when didn't have these big budgets, I don't imagine, fight about money, but just the care of the people in your town. I mean, it's a geographic area. Take care of these people. I'd like to educate. I love doing what I do. I am sometimes a peacemaker on the board, or I try to be. So there is more of a function than just custodian of the records. I hope I answered your question.
Lisa, Ada was just speaking about bringing the township government to the people, and that's your slogan as well. What specific steps or actions would you implement to accomplish that goal?
One of the things that I was set back when I found out that we didn't have, Decatur Township doesn't have a website. So one of the things that I would love is a website that shows all the board members, all the services that are offered, even more, to be more transparent also. And then do more community partnership, like going to service fairs, having a booth at service fairs, possibly looking into being a partner with jobs, like looking at different types of job training. I want to do a job retraining program where if a person has worked somewhere for, like myself, I was 46 years old when I lost my job the first time, 46 years old. A person that's 46 years old need to retrain for something else if they can't get back into, thank God I'm back to where I used to be. But as far as getting into another job training program, so a job retraining program, not job training but retraining, where and partner up with some organizations that can help with that. More of a partnership in the community, because I don't think we have a partnership in the community right now. So to build one.
Build a partnership.
Build a partnership.
Ada Owens, what's your response to Lisa's comments?
I agree totally. I think we should be more involved in the community as far as agencies. Our funding, of course, was taken, a big chunk of the funding was taken from the state. That and township must have, and we do transitional assistance program. We have to run a program, but even farther than that, partnering with agencies that's already established. We may not be able to give millions of dollars, but we can at least do more than we're doing. Some folks say that, well, you're just duplicating programs. We could duplicate for the next 10 years and not reach all the people. So that mechanism of partnershiping with agencies, that way we all come together and help the people of this town. Because because of the economic climate, there's so much more we can do and we should do. So I agree with that totally. Also, we should have continually running food pantry, clothing pantry, something simple as partnershiping with, in the summer, the fans, folks run that program, and in the winter, the coat drive. We should be a part of that. It's helping, little things to help the people of our town.
And that would raise the visibility of township government so that people, the citizens, could see how effective it is and how important it is for the community.
Yes.
One of the things that United Way used to have a long time ago was First Call for Help. It was administered, and it was, I thought it was an excellent program. Why United Way, got rid of it, I'm not really sure, but I would also like to look into something like that with Township. Not call it First Call for Help, but something else. I have to look into that. But just to have every service available to the community, and they call one number, and they can find out, where the services are, and get linked to them.
Because when people are in a desperate situation, they're upset, emotionally upset, it's hard to think through all the calls that should be made.
Absolutely.
It is hard. And then you when you're getting bounced around and all that's more frustrating for people.
Very frustrating.
Yes.
Recently I attended a meeting of the Plan Commission for the city of Decatur, and they adopted a new ordinance, a revised ordinance against payday loans. And many of the ministers stood up and speaking about the need to have even stricter proposed ordinance because of the need and the desperation of the people for short-term money.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
And like I said, sometimes it's not even the money. It's diapers for newborn,
Yes.
formulas. You know, if we could work programs like that, and then you get in, when you do that, on the ground level of folks. I mean, babies, you know. So many programs like that. You know, we hear a lot about people don't want to work, people are, you know, they want handout. No, they need help out. They need help out.
That's true.
Not handout. Now, you're always going to have people who take advantage of the system. That's just the way it is. But for the greater need of the folk, I think if folk had jobs, if they had proper clothing, if they had food for their children, they would do better. They do. It's been proven that they do better.
Yes.
And we have a large building out there.
Yes.
So we could put some things in place.
Absolutely.
We have to. We have to.
Tell the folks who may not know where you're located, where your building is, and what it contains.
We're at 1620 South Taylorville Road. Used to be the old Carter furniture store. I remember those days. We have out there is the assessor's office, of course, and then the clerk, and then our general assistance program is all out there. And then also we have upstairs is rented to Lutheran Child and Family Services. So the main goal was to bring services out to the building. That was all before my time, but that's what I heard or knew about. So we do have that service out there, Lutheran Child and Family Services located there.
If folks don't have a car, how do they get to your building?
The bus stops right in front of the building. There's the bus spot where they get off. Right there, it's the plexiglass type thing.
Yes.
So you're not in the elements, and you can wait inside. You know, if the weather is really bad, so it's accessible.
Sure.
It's accessible. But I was on the board when we purchased the building, and that was a concern. How do people get to the facility? And I don't think it has hampered anything.
Really?
Because if you provide a service, the people know about it, they will come. So it's very accessible. There's wonderful parking in the back, and there's also parking in the front.
Sure. And the facility is a great improvement from its predecessor
Yes.
facility.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right. The election is coming up April 9th.
April the 9th.
And how's it looking for your candidacy, Lisa?
I'm excited. It looks good. I have support from a lot of people, both sides. I shouldn't say that, but anyway, I have support from a lot of people, and I'm looking forward to that. I'd like to work more on educating people to get out and vote. That's one thing that, especially in this election, the municipal election is always a low turnout. So we are going to work on really getting people out and moving to vote.
You know, when we talk about a low turnout for the municipal election, we're
Yes.
talking like 15–17%
Yes.
of the voters.
Yes. Yes.
That's what we're looking at, yes.
I think that like the last election was like 5,500 or something like that came out. So yeah, it is very low.
Do you have any fundraisers coming up? If people wanted to learn more about your candidacy, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, they could call me. My number is 217-520-2168. And then we have a fundraiser tomorrow at Paco's from 4:30 to 7:30. That's all the candidates, Democrat candidates that's running for township. And then the Decatur Trades and Labor is having a fundraiser at Doherty's on March the 6th. And then we've got a couple coming up that I'm working on.
Great. How about you, Ada Owens? How's your candidacy looking here?
Well, you know, you never know until the day of. But if people know me, they will vote for me because they know that when I say the people first, without regards to race, sex, color, national origin, party, I don't care what party you're in. You know, I work for the good of the people without the party stuff. And I intend to win, even if I don't win. I'll always be active. It's who I am, it's what I am. But like I said, if people know me, they will come out and vote for me. But you know what? As leaders, we haven't done our homework as far as running yearly educational piece on voting, why it's important, why local elections are very important, because that's the heart of the people in your community.
That's right.
You know, you're my neighbor. We're all neighbors.
Right.
You know, I may not see you every day, but you're my neighbor. So what affects you affects me. My sisters are planning a fundraiser for me. They're calling it Sisters in Solidarity. And that's going to be the 8th, 8th of March, 6:30 till 8:30 at the Decatur Club. So that's what, on a personal note, they are doing that for me. I'm from a large family. And if anyone wants to call me and ask me any questions or donate whatever, I'm at 217-201-4640.
When does the township board meet? Do they have a monthly meeting or quarterly meetings, or what's the schedule?
The township board meets every other Wednesday. And we meet one Wednesday at 8 in the morning, 8:30 a.m., and then the next Wednesday we meet at 6. So we're trying to meet the needs of those that can't make the morning meetings to come in the evening. Yes. And then we have an annual town meeting coming up. And that is April is it 16th, I think? Yeah.
April 16th.
That's coming up.
And what's the purpose of the annual township meeting?
The annual town, like people, the voters can comment on the agenda. They can help set the agenda. And then whatever issues that they have within the township can be addressed at the annual town meeting.
You know, we've talked about the importance of local government. I've heard it said that, for example, a mayor, like our mayor of Decatur, or the supervisor of the township board, actually has more authority and power than a United States senator, because you guys can make decisions right here.
Right here.
Right here.
Right. And you know, like we were talking about the voting, I just remember I couldn't wait to be 18 to vote because my great-grandparents raised me. And I just remember election time. Do you guys remember Andy Williams? Okay. I just remember Andy Williams coming and picking my grandparents up every time to go vote. And I couldn't wait to be 18 to vote. So we need to get that energy back into some of our people. I think that if they see more of the parents getting out, then our younger people are going to get into the voting process as well.
Yes.
And to piggyback on that also, let's be clear and upfront. I'm an honest person.
Yeah.
African Americans do not vote.
No, they don't.
Well, they do not get out to vote, and we fail. Like I said, I'll admit that. Although I try to educate as much as I can, and I intend to do more. But I think because I am from Mississippi, I remember my parents. They had to sometimes secretly meet to get folks to get out and vote. You know, it wasn't a given for them. They came up through an era where if you didn't own land, you didn't have that right. So I remember them, the Freedom Riders, they were called, would come into town and they would secretly meet. And do you know, they were able to change that. You know, that law, they were able to change. And those folks got out to vote every election, be it local, federal, whatever. They got out to vote because they could see that without voting, you don't change things.
Right.
And voting, to me, it's a hope that the person you support will have the views of yourself. And if we lose that hope, you know, to me, we lose this country. You know, if we lose the hope, but we have an advantage. If they're not in line with our thinking, we can vote them out. we can vote them
Sure,
out.
sure.
So,
You know, one of the purposes of this program is on public access, the Faber Files, is to bring issues to the attention of the community.
Yes.
And this is where local media and national media have totally failed, because instead of broadcasting Survivor or the Gong Show or whatever, they should have programs telling the people, teaching the people, leading the people about just what you ladies have articulated, the importance of voting, that it's a hope and a need and a right.
That's true. That's definitely true.
and
And I-
even, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
even women, you know, we haven't always had the right to vote, you know.
Took you all 72 years to
We,
get it.
yeah, exactly, we had to fight for those rights.
That's right.
To vote, to be a part of this great country we live in.
Sure, sure.
So when I hear like 20 people in their 20s and 30s, and possibly 40s, that are in the voting process, it doesn't bother me as much as the older people. And like during this last election, the November election, we had people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s that had never voted before. And that blew my mind. We had just started registering people that age to vote. And like I said, I can see it for the younger, but the older, I mean, I think that should have meant more to them after all we've been through,
Sure.
you know, to be able to vote.
Yes.
And I also think it's, if it's not in the home, then the young people aren't
Sure.
going to know about it
Sure,
either.
sure. And really, the lack of voting, the lack of interest really plays into the powerful people's hand, because
Thank you.
they want to keep the people disinterested, uninterested, unparticipating, watching TV, buying iPhones, and
Absolutely.
video gambling rather than participating in their democracy.
That's
That's
true.
exactly right. So this show here that you're doing is very important. You know, it
Absolutely.
should be broadcasted everywhere.
Well, it's important because
Yeah.
we've got you guys on who can talk to the people directly.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Exactly.
And you know what I've also found out? If you, and that's the educational piece, even if it's a one-on-one, if you reason with the person, if you get them thinking, take for instance Social Security, pensions even. If folk are on Social Security and you talk to them about Social Security, how it's tied into government, so forth and so on, get them to thinking. Child care, you know, those things. You get them to thinking, find a common ground, then they're more likely to get out and vote. But that's that educational piece
Right,
we have to do yearly.
yearly. You know, we talked about the African Americans' right to vote, the women's right to vote. There was an article in the New York Times this past Sunday that talked about maternity leave. The United States of America is the only industrialized nation in the Western Hemisphere without a paid maternity leave policy for its mothers. The only one.
That's a tragedy.
It really is.
It is. I remember when I worked at Firestone, and it was only, we had one, of course, because we were union, and it was negotiated into our contract. And that was early maternity leave, you know, when it was first coming about in the legislation and in actual contract. But you only got 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
Be with your baby.
Exactly, exactly. And if you went off before then, say you had an injury or an illness,
Right.
sometimes we do have those illnesses, that 6 weeks was applied. So it was eaten up. We have our work cut out for it. Another one is family medical leave.
Yes.
Really, you know, shouldn't we be improving on that one? And that's why voting is important.
Well, Lisa Stanley, 8 Owens, good luck in your candidacy, and
Thank you
good
so
luck
much.
April 9th, and thank you very much for appearing on the Faber Files. It was a
Thank you
delight.
for
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.